Greetings everyone. Hope all of you are having an absolutely fantastic day. Yesterday, out of nowhere, Owlcat dropped a new patch for Warhammer 40K Rogue Trader, patch 1.4.1. It's actually pretty massive with a lot of cool stuff that they've added in. This video is by no means going to cover all of it. So of course, as always, I will leave a link in the description so you can see the patch notes for yourself. This video is going to cover some of the aspects of the patch that I felt like you all would find most interesting and also what would be most impactful. I've been doing a ton of Rogue Trader content ever since the expansion came out. So if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to the channel and check out the links in the description below to see more of the updates that I have released. Also, if you haven't purchased Rogue Trader yet, there is a link down in the description where you could go ahead and do that or buy any of the DLC if that interests you. All right, before we get into the good updates, let's cover a couple of things that are not quite so great. So first and foremost, this patch appears to have broken Glaito, which is Solomorne's cybernetic dog. If you go into its inventory screen, you will see that claws are missing as weapons on the dog sheet, and you can see the difference with my dog and the claws that it clearly has. This prevents Glaito from attacking at all. So all of those overseer abilities such as protect or apprehend and bite, those are completely useless right now for Solomorne because Glaito just won't do anything. So Owlcat is already aware of this. They already confirmed they're working on it. Hopefully it'll be cleared up soon. The other issue that I feel like I'm running into now, I don't remember experiencing this before, but you all could correct me if I'm wrong, that this was kind of already in the game, but I saw in my live stream yesterday multiple points where I would receive a turn or it would get to my turn in a round and I would not see my momentum or veil degradation bars, which prevents you from being able to activate your heroic act if for whatever reason you had one unlocked. Now I'm in Act 4, so I'm triggering these left and right and I'm doing a ton of damage, so it didn't really impact my playthrough, but definitely if I had been much earlier in the game, not being able to use my heroic act on a particular character right when I had it could be very impactful. I think this has been caused by the patch, but again, it might be that this was happening before and I just didn't remember it because I could just easily fight through it. And so you all can let me know down in the description which one is true. All right, so those are the two areas where I feel like Owlcat is probably going to have to drop a hot fix in order to get those issues addressed. But there are a ton of things that this patch has added that are really, really cool, starting with new portraits. So we got two new portraits with the expansion of both a male and a female arbitrator, and both of them were unmasked. Well, a lot of people said that of course they play their arbitrators with their iconic helmets on and they would prefer to have portraits that showcase that, and Owlcat actually delivered that. So now we have two alternative versions of the portrait, both of which have those characters with their helmets on. It looks super, super cool. I think that's a really nice touch and definitely appreciate Owlcat taking the time to do that. Solomorne has also been made better in a bunch of different ways. First and foremost, there are a couple of errors going on with him that have been cleared up. So the faux hammer gun that he comes with was invisible, where you could not see it when you looked at his inventory screen or even when he's walking around in combat. It was clearly missing. That has been changed now, so his gun can be clearly viewed this time. And there was an issue where sometimes while you were on the void ship, Solomorne you couldn't see his portrait at the top of the screen. Instead, there would be double Cyber Mastiff portraits instead. And clicking on the Cyber Mastiff portrait still didn't allow you access to Solomorne's inventory or whatever it is that you wanted to do. So this was extremely annoying, and that has been cleared up as well. Now, outside of that, they've just added some things to make Solomorne more interesting, give him more interactivity, and make things a little bit more consistent with him. So one of the additions that I really like is that he will now talk to you at the beginning of Act 2. So at the end of Act 1, Solomorne actually gets on your ship and he travels with you to Footfall. But originally there was no conversation or indication that he got out your ship. You had no idea what he went off to do. You kind of were just waiting to find out, okay, when is this guy gonna reach out to me again? And Owlcat has now changed that, so there will be a dialogue at the beginning of Act 2 where he'll let you know some of his plans and you get to have more conversation with him. So that's really, really cool. Now, another thing that I really like is Owlcat has changed how Solomorne's recruitment mission works. In beta, before the expansion was fully launched, you actually had to get all the way to Dargonis in Act 2 before Solomorne would reach out to you. And then they changed that where you had to complete one of the main missions first, whether it be Janus, Dragonis, or Kavagama, or whatever planet, before Solomorne would then reach out to you. Well, all that has been changed now. And instead, right when you leave Footfall, Solomorne is going to reach out and say, hey, I'd like to connect, so that you can then do his recruitment mission. Now, keep in mind, his recruitment mission actually is around, I think, level 20 or 22. So it's still not a situation where you can go get him right at the beginning of Act 2, or at least I wouldn't recommend that. But at least you know what you're going for, and the quest will be available in your journal, which I think many of you will find preferable to just roaming about in Act 2 waiting for him to magically reach out. So definitely a nice update. What I also really appreciate them updating with Solomorne is that he now speaks up during colony decisions. So there's a whole colonization management system where you have to put together projects for different planets. And when major decisions come up regarding this, different party members will chime in and say, hey, you could do this to fix the issue, or hey, you could do this to fix the issue. And oftentimes it'll give you options that you would not have had if you didn't have access to that party member. All throughout my live stream playthrough, Solomorne has had zero to say during these discussions, and it came off as very odd, especially since Cabela, who came with the Void Shadows DLC, very consistently spoke up during these sequences. But now that has been fixed, where consistently, not only is he going to provide options, but some of them will provide unique rewards that could be beneficial to the player. So absolutely, I think this is great stuff. All right, now, in addition to Solomorne getting some updates, the overall Lex Imperialis expansion received some updates as well. So across the board, there have been narrative adjustments, improvements, and new answer options in dialogue. There is more reactivity to your origin now, I would assume most especially if you have chosen Arbitrator. Heartless, which is a reward you can get in Act 2 after recruiting Solomorne, is going to be available in Act 2 now, as opposed to before, you wouldn't get access to it until Act 4. But a lot of people felt like that didn't make sense considering the nature of the reward, which I won't reveal here, but trust me, it's really freaking awesome. Now, there are multiple book events throughout your time in Rogue Trader where you're gonna have to go through text screens in order to solve or deal with specific situations. And now there will be reactivity to your familiars in some of those book events. So if you're an overseer or one of your companions maybe is an overseer, there might be an opportunity for special options. Speaking of familiars, new protocols have been added that interact with your disposition. So protocols are items that familiars can equip, and in turn it's going to give a buff to their stats along with changing some of their mechanics. And it appears that now some of them will get stronger based on how far you are into your disposition, whether it be dogmatic, heretical, or iconoclast. I haven't seen any of these yet. It looks like a lot of them are supposed to be available in Act 2. And of course, I'm way beyond that point, but I think it's really, really cool that these options have become available. Speaking of new items, Owlcat has definitely heard the complaints, and I'm absolutely one person who had them, that there weren't enough Arbites weapons and armor available in the game. And consequently, they've added another chest on Footfall where you can get an Arbites visor. So here on the docks of Footfall, you're going to be able to find this chest, which wasn't present before the patch. And if you click on it, you're going to see an Adeptus Arbites helmet. Now this helmet automatically grants you a plus 15 bonus to coercion, but if you're an arbitrator, the bonus is going to be plus 20 instead. Now, in addition to all of this, there are a couple of other smaller issues that have been cleared up. So now when you look at the servo skull key characteristics, it is going to properly say intelligence and fellowship instead of agility and perception, as I said before. Definitely good to see. And in a rather humorous note, now when you select the female arbitrator portrait, the game is not going to automatically set your voice to male. I actually used a female arbitrator in my run before the expansion came out, and I very quickly realized, oh, I have Abelard's voice. But I was in a real hurry, so I was like, I'm not going back to change it. I'm just gonna have to deal with this. And luckily, when you're on your ship, you can customize your character again, and changing your voice is one of the things you could do. So I was able to update it, but it was rather annoying for the first 5 or 6 hours where I was like, man, I'm really gonna have to listen to myself as Abelard for the entire game. So glad definitely they got that updated. One more potential issue that I forgot to mention at the beginning of the game, and I say potential, this might be, I might have just done something that I didn't realize I did, but there's a note in this update regarding reinforcements at the Palace of Justice. Basically, the last major fight you do for the expansion is in the Palace of Justice, and when I did this fight before the expansion released, I had to deal with 2 or 3 waves of reinforcements. And there's a note in this patch that these reinforcements have now received new abilities and talents and have become a much bigger threat. I mentioned this as potentially being broken because when I did this fight during our live stream, there were no reinforcements. Once I finished off the first wave of enemies, the fight just ended. And I didn't feel like I did the fight especially well. So I'm not sure why there weren't reinforcements, and I'm wondering if maybe something is broken where the reinforcements are bugged, but they never come out. And so they're not actually a bigger threat. Again, you all can let me know down in the comments if you're experiencing the same thing, or if the reinforcements came out for you no problem after this patch was released. Anyway, that's all the updates that I have regarding the patch. Again, I think Owlcat did a fantastic job with it, and there's a lot to like in what they've done. Definitely looking forward to the perspective from all of you. As always, I appreciate the feedback, and I hope you all enjoyed this video. Take care.